The wizardry of Lucas. The mastery of Coppola. The phenomenal music and dance of Michael Jackson. In spectacular 3D. Captain EO is now the newest attraction at Disneyland and Walt Disney World, and nowhere else in the universe.
This is E-Ticket to Yesterday, a series dedicated to exploring the history, evolution, and legacy of the theme parks and attractions that helped define the state of Florida. In the mid-1980s, EPCOT was still finding its identity. It was a park built on ideas, education, innovation, and the promise of the future. But Disney needed something else, something bold, something that would get people through the gates. So, they turned to Hollywood. And not just Hollywood, but the biggest names in entertainment. A legendary director, a visionary producer, and perhaps the most famous pop star on the planet. The result was a 17-minute attraction that would redefine what a theme park show could be. This was Captain EO. When Epcot Center opened in 1982, it was unlike anything Disney had built before, but was significantly different compared to what Disney parks are seen as today. There were no traditional rides, no Disney characters walking around. Instead, the park focused on education, science, culture, and human achievement. Within the Journey into Imagination Pavilion, one of the park's opening day attractions was a 3D film called Magic Journeys. The film was housed in what would later become known as the Magic Eye Theater, and focused on imagination through a series of whimsical, abstract sequences. While visually creative, it was lighter in tone and scale compared to what would come next. By the mid-1980s, attendance wasn't meeting expectations. Guests appreciated the park, but they didn't always find it exciting. Disney realized something important. Guests appreciated the ideas behind the park, but they were craving more excitement and recognizable entertainment. That realization fueled Disney to create something that could bridge the gap between education and entertainment and redefine the space entirely. It wouldn't be an E-Ticket to Yesterday episode without something silly in here. You're welcome. Speaking of redefine, Disney was actively looking to inject the park with higher energy, more marketable experiences, something that would transform the theater into a must-see experience. To make that happen, Disney assembled an unprecedented creative team. The film would be executively produced by George Lucas, creator of the Star Wars franchise, directed by Francis Ford Coppola, who directed The Godfather, and pop star Michael Jackson. At the time, Jackson was at the height of his global fame. Albums like Thriller, which released the same year that Epcot Center opened, had redefined music and visual storytelling. Disney saw an opportunity, not just to create an attraction, but to completely reinvent the theater space that had previously housed Magic Journeys. The project became known as Captain EO, a 3D science fiction musical short film designed specifically for a theme park environment. The budget for the film was estimated at around $30 million. For a 17-minute film, that made it one of the most expensive productions ever created on a per-minute basis. When Captain EO opened in 1986, it wasn't just a film. It was labeled as an experience. Guests entered a specifically designed theater inside the Journey into Imagination Pavilion. From there, they were immersed in what would later be called a 4D attraction. The film itself was shown in 3D using polarized glasses, but what made it groundbreaking was the physical effects synchronized with the movie. Seats moved in coordination with the action, lasers fired across the theater, smoke and fog filled the room. Fiber optic star fields simulated outer space. And at key moments, Bursts of air and light made the experience feel physical, not just visual. Today, these effects are common and are still used, but in 1986, this level of immersion was cutting edge. The story of Captain EO is simple but effective. Guests follow Captain EO and his crew as they travel to a dark, industrial planet ruled by the Supreme Leader, who is played by Angelica Houston. Their mission isn't to destroy, but to simply transform. Through music, through rhythm, through energy. The film blends narrative with performance, shifting between story beats and full musical numbers. 2 original songs anchor the experience. We Are Here to Change the World sets up the mission, and Another Part of Me delivers the emotional and visual climax. Her transformation of the planet, from cold and mechanical to vibrant and alive, mirrors the tone of the film itself. It's not subtle, it's not complex, but it is memorable. Captain EO succeeded because it hit at the right moment. It combined 3 major forces: Hollywood filmmaking, pop music spectacle, and theme park immersion. It also marked a turning point for EPCOT. This was one of the first major steps away from purely educational content and towards entertainment-driven experiences. It proved that guests were willing and eager to engage with something more cinematic, and it set the stage for future attractions that would blend story, technology, and sensory effects. But like many things tied closely to a specific era, Captain EO began to feel dated. By the early 1990s, technology had started to advance. Audience expectations had changed, and EPCOT itself was evolving. Attendance for the attraction started to decline, and what once felt groundbreaking now felt very 1980s. Don't worry, Michael, we still love you. In 1994, Disney closed Captain EO at EPCOT. The Magic Eye Theater would soon be reimagined once again, this time into a more comedic, family-focused experience. Rick Moranis would reprise his role as Wayne Selinsky in Honey, I Shrunk the Audience, another 4D attraction which would open in 1994. It became a staple of EPCOT throughout the late 1990s and early 2000s, introducing a new generation of guests to in-theater effects like moving seats, water sprays, and surprise elements. For many, that marked the end of Captain EO, but not permanently. In 2009, Michael Jackson passed away. In response, Disney made a decision. They would bring Captain EO back, not as a permanent replacement, but as a tribute. In 2010, the attraction reopened at EPCOT as Captain EO Tribute. Core film remained the same, but the experience had changed. Some original effects, like the fiber optic starfield and certain laser elements, were no longer in use due to being removed during the transition from Captain EO to Honey, I Shrunk the Audience. Instead, the theater utilized updated effects left over from its previous attraction. Even so, the return drew large crowds. For some, it was nostalgia. For others, it was a first-time experience of something they had only heard about. According to Disney, the return of Captain EO was never meant to be permanent, and they would abide by that idea. By 2015, EPCOT was continuing its shift towards new experiences and updated offerings. On December 6, 2015, Captain EO closed once again, this time for good. In the years that followed, the Magic Eye Theater was used for seasonal offerings and preview experiences, including sneak peeks of upcoming Disney films like Tomorrowland and Inside Out. Today, the space operates as the Disney and Pixar Short Film Festival, which opened in 2015 shortly after Captain EO's closure. The attraction features a rotating selection of animated short films presented with updated in-theater effects, continuing the legacy of combining film with physical immersion, even as the content itself has evolved. Captain EO occupies a unique place in theme park history. It wasn't just a film, it was a proof of concept. It showed that attractions could be cinematic, that they could be musical, that they could physically interact with guests in real time. It also represents a moment in time when Disney, Hollywood, and the music industry came together in a way that feels almost impossible today. And for those who experienced it, the memory often isn't just about the story. It's about the feeling. The lights, the music, the moment the theater came alive around you. And it permanently redefined the role of the Magic Eye Theater, a space that has continually evolved to reflect EPCOT's changing identity. And while the theater no longer blasts guests into space alongside Captain EO and his crew of misfits, its legacy remains a defining part of theme park history. Thank you for tuning into this episode of E-Ticket to Yesterday. Until next time, I'm your host, Ashley Brace.